Hey, what's up guys, Rip here. So today we're going to be talking about the much anticipated debate between Ethan Klein and Hasan Piker. Now we're going to look at some clips from this. It's obviously a 4.5 hour long debate, so we're going to just hit the most key parts of the debate. But before we get into the clips, I just want to make it very clear, I think this was a massive L for Hasan Piker. I have absolutely no idea why he thought this was something he should have done. He got absolutely embarrassed, okay? And you have to understand at the same time here that Ethan Klein is a dude who runs a comedy podcast, and Hasan Piker is a guy who streams 12 hours a day about politics. His whole world is supposed to be about politics, and they have this debate, and he takes the L. It should have been a complete sweep for him. He should have had a very easy time, but that's not what happened. Instead, he got caught in many different lies. He said some very out-of-pocket stuff and honestly just started crashing out halfway through. So before we get into the clips, I want to point out one more thing. Throughout the clips, you're going to see Ethan Klein here. He has some tics where he moves around his hands and he moves around some of his facial expressions. That's because he has Tourette's. This is a fact that is mocked in Hassan's community. It's mocked by many different communities that don't like him. In fact, you can see during the debate, Anissa here, this is iDubbbz' wife, tweeted drugs. That is something that they have been perpetuating for a very long time. These communities are trying to downplay his Tourette's and say it's a symptom of having a drug addiction, which is a very disgusting thing to do, especially from these so-called progressive people. But let's see some of the clips here. This was the pre-show. This was not a good start at all. You can see him going after Ethan for some of his sponsors that Hassan also has.
So I want to say, first of all, thank you to Shopify for sponsoring us. I also want to thank
Shopify sponsoring terrorism by way of, well, I guess they sponsor my podcast too.
Amazing. Well, I guess he'd be right, at least for one of the parties, when he says they would be sponsoring terrorism. But anyways, let's move on to this. This was the first words between them, and it was very messy and sloppy right from the get-go.
Are you going to show me all the time as well on the Zoom call?
Here, I can fix that. 1 second. Let me just set it to Ethan's output here.
If you want,
there you go.
If you want, just show like not just Ethan, but yourself as well. If you're going to talk, like that's fine.
Hey,
I don't know if it's gonna
Hassan,
be too difficult.
leave the production notes to my team. You can switch your show how you like.
Yeah, you can see the kind of attitude he came in with, trying to run the show here, but it's not his show, and he can do whatever he wants on his end. But I'm going to get right into one of the more significant clips here. This one is pretty ridiculous, the things that Hasan Piker said. The topic is the October 7th attacks, okay? And during those attacks, there were both women and men who were sexually abused. And Hasan Piker has been a fervent denier of those facts. He has doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down on this. He denies that those things happened during the attacks, and this is what he said when he was pressed on this by Ethan Klein.
During the October 7th, 2023 attack, credible circumstantial information which may be indicative of some forms of sexual violence, including genital mutilation, sexualized torture, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment, was also gathered.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'm gonna walk you
Are
through
they
this real quick.
hallucinating?
No. So do you? No, you just don't know what words mean. So credible circumstantial evidence. Do you know what that means?
It means that there's, yeah, of course.
Credible circumstantial evidence is not a substitute for forensic evidence. Credible
That's why I said
circumstantial
Pixar didn't
evidence
happen,
is
bro.
not
You need
enough
rape
to
kits.
prosecute.
Hassan needs
Credible
rape kits.
circumstantial evidence is not enough.
Pixar
to
didn't happen, right?
Prosecute rape, which is precisely the reason why the Israeli prosecutors themselves have said that in the absence of a singular victim coming out, and also with all of the forensic evidence that has been tarnished already.
Show me evidence for anything you're saying.
What?
That's not, show me evidence for anything you're claiming that isn't some unhinged freak on Twitter.
So basically, you can see the logic he's using here. Hassan is basically saying if these things happen, the only way you should be believed is if you immediately take a kit and have the forensic evidence. Otherwise, you're lying and you shouldn't be believed. Now, that's just disgusting for the October 7th attacks. It's also disgusting as a general principle. He is telling victims of abuse, I'm not going to believe you unless you have forensic evidence immediately available. That is a disgusting standard, and one that people were very critical of last night. In fact, a Larry Nasser survivor came out and said this with a super chat in Ethan's stream here saying, Larry Nassar survivor Lindsay Shoot here just came to say anyone discrediting people publicly admitting they were raped without amazing contrary evidence is disgusting. Hassan is a horrible human. And if you don't know who Larry Nassar is, he was a part of the medical team for the U.S. gymnastics team, and he abused, I've seen counts as much as 500 young girls throughout his career. So when you have a survivor of that coming in to check you on this related topic, that should be pretty eye-opening for someone like Hassan if he was actually self-aware. Now, here's another one where he is pressed about terrorism. Okay, in his quote about Hezbollah, where he says he doesn't have a problem with that terrorist organization. Here's his long-awaited explanation of that.
So are people valid for thinking you're pro-terrorist?
Do you believe the State Department's designation for terrorism is valid?
Is it reasonable for people to think that you are pro-terrorist when you say I have no problem with Hezbollah?
Do you believe the State Department's designation for terrorism is valid?
You answer my question, and I'll answer yours. Are people valid?
Ethan,
and considering
you rely heavily on your audience not really understanding the terms that you are using.
Let it be noted.
Imagine being so dodgy about this subject. This is a black or white thing. Do you support them or not? And even in this case, he's not even directly pressing him on that. He's saying, do you understand why people would think you sympathize with that group because of those comments? And he can't answer. He refuses to answer it. And also, he's trying to get Ethan this sort of gotcha where he's like, well, you're misleading your very naive audience by saying that, because he's trying to say that basically Hassan doesn't agree with the labeling of Hezbollah as a designated terrorist group by the United States, which to me makes it even worse. Not only is he saying these weird comments about them, he's also trying to downplay their actions. When you're saying that you disagree with that designation as a terrorist group, you're saying their acts are not terrorism. So the terrorism committed by Hezbollah, he's trying to downplay, which I think is something an apologist would be doing. Well, let's move on to another clip where he was recently asked directly, do you support terrorism? This time he had an answer, but one that will backfire on him during the current debate.
Wait, you support terrorism, question mark? No, I don't. I don't support the state of Israel, and I don't support the state of the United States of America.
So when asked if he supports terrorism, he says no, he doesn't support the United States of America. He's doing his own designation now. He's designating the United States of America as a terrorist organization, which is unfortunate for him because that topic would come up later on in this debate when they're talking about Ethan's wife, Hila. For those who don't know, she was born in Israel, and at age 18, you have to serve in the IDF. You don't have a choice. And people in Hassan's community and the related ones have brutalized her with that fact. They have called her a genocider. They've said that she was killing children during her service and all these wild claims. They genuinely think like she deserves the worst as a result of following through with the conscription. But here, he is now giving an explanation of what Hila should have done at the age of 18.
Hassan, you say that Hila could have gone to jail and done a conscientious objection instead of joining the army. Why do you pay taxes?
What?
Why do you pay taxes to the United States government?
This is your big argument, Ethan?
Answer the question.
That I pay taxes and I'm morally culpable? I know. That's why I try to fucking fight against this goddamn government doing this shit every day.
Why don't you stand up for your principles and go to jail for it?
Because it would not actually stop, okay? It would not actually stop. The reason why I'm saying...
What wouldn't stop?
I don't take issue with Hila's fucking actions then, as long as, just like you said, she was just 19 years old. I take issue with the fact that she still defends it on principle.
What does she say? Do you want this?
Yeah, that's a pretty good gotcha right there. Why are you paying your taxes to a country, by the way, you think is committing terrorism? Like, wouldn't you be aiding and abetting a terrorist organization by your own definition? I mean, this is absolutely insane. His solution to an 18-year-old Hila, she should have just gone to prison and ruined her life at that time. So, 15, 20 years in the future, she won't be called a genocider by a bunch of wackadoos in Hasan Piker's community. Like, do we hear ourselves? And of course, he says with his own situation, his side. I still pay taxes and live here because it won't make an actual difference. I mean, that's such a lame excuse. Like, if you're going to hold these crazy standards on other people, then yeah, you should expect those standards to be held to you as well. And also, he was questioned about the Houthi terrorist that he interviewed. And specifically, he mentioned that Hassan has made multiple times where he compared this terrorist to Anne Frank. He called her a modern day Anne Frank. So here's his explanation of that.
You still agree that he's just like Anne Frank?
Did you not hear what I asked you?
I'm just summarizing.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Anne Frank died before she could resist. But if she did, I would never hold that against her.
She was fucking killed in a concentration camp, you psychopath.
But if she
was exterminated with her whole fucking family. Her dad's the only one that survived and recovered her journal. Are you fucking mad?
Either, Ethan, right? Would you hold that against her? Would you hold that against her?
I wouldn't hold it against her, but she wouldn't be the same historical figure that said, despite my family being killed in concentration camp and everyone being murdered, I'm still a pacifist that sees the good in people. What the fuck what's so confusing about that? Not kill Zionists, not nuke Israel, not a pike through Zionist assholes.
Yeah. I mean, are we serious? We're comparing what Anne Frank went through to a guy that's going around and committing acts of terrorism, shooting missiles at ships, taking over ships. Are we serious? It's absolutely insane. And also, I see people all the time defend that interview he had with this terrorist. They say, oh, what's the big deal? You're mad at Hassan, but you're not mad at these other major news outlets who have interviewed terrorists in the past. There's no comparison, because when you had your mainstream media outlets going out and interviewing, let's say, Al-Qaeda years ago, they weren't doing it and immediately going there and dropping to their knees and glucking on these terrorists like Hassan did with this Houthi pirate. Okay? They didn't glaze these people up. They interviewed them for whatever purpose they had. They weren't glazing up. They weren't showing support for what they're doing like Hassan did with this Houthi pirate. It's absolutely crazy people think that there's some sort of a connection between his interview with this terrorist versus terrorists who have been interviewed by these major news outlets in the past. Not even comparable whatsoever. But then we have this whole section about the Frogan Sabra tier list that her and other people in Hassan's orbit were a part of. In case you don't know what that was, it was a sponsored panel at Twitch where they ranked content creators based on their race, essentially. If you were more Arab, you were in the S tier, meaning good. If you were more Jewish, you were in the F tier, boo, bad, according to them. It's very obvious what they were doing during that tier list, and he's still defending this stuff to this day and acting like he has no idea what the issue is.
Let me follow up with this. Have you seen the thumbnail?
The thumbnail?
Yes, that's what I said. This is the thumbnail that's still up. Now, let me ask you this, Hassan. Here's Frogan's thumbnail for the Sabra hummus tier list. In the F tier is me and Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is not in the tier list. He has never explored or used. Why do you think Ben Shapiro is on the F tier?
Ethan?
Whoa, answer the question.
Again.
What, you're dodging?
I'm not iDubbbz. I'm not
but you
Frogan.
Can't make valid.
He's intentionally trying to not see what he's bringing up. I think it's very obvious. He knows if he's pressed to answer this, he knows why they're in the positions of the tier list that they are. They're trying to say that being Jewish is bad. That's what they're trying to do, and they're trying to play coy about it, and Hassan knows it, but he doesn't want to say it. But let's move on to another controversy that people have been talking about recently. It has to do with this photo from the content cop that iDubbbz made on Ethan Klein. There was a controversy with this sword. The hilt of the sword is a swastika. Now, is that a swastika from Nazi Germany? No. It is likely the Manji swastika that predates Nazi Germany. It's supposed to mean good fortune. It's a Buddhist symbol. There's nothing inherently controversial about it. But, as admitted in his own fluff piece recently, Hasan Piker has 10 swords at his home where this was shot. And iDubbbz just so happened to pick up the one that Hassan refers to as the swastika sword in his own words, and then tilts it to the camera so everyone can see while making a video criticizing a Jewish person. At the very least, it looks really bad, even if it was an accident, right? And people will still not admit what the optics are here and why this looks bad, and they're still playing coy about it to this day, as you can see with Hasan Piker. He continued to say that in this debate, that he doesn't believe it's a swastika, but it's a swastika sword in his own words. But also he tries to say, oh, Ethan, you can't tell me about this because you drew a swastika 9 years ago on the back of PewDiePie.
You have that much of an issue with swastikas considering you drew one on PewDiePie.
I'm a Jewish man, you fucking moron.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Is anyone in that room Jewish? Was anyone in that room? Did I draw swastika one time on?
Do you think that Jews have an exclusivity agreement with like being offended or not offended by Nazi imagery? You've done a Sig Heil approximately what 50 times.
Why did I do a Sig Heil? Why did I do a Sig Heil?
I don't know.
Because you only watch clips on Twitter. I was making fun of Elon Musk and trying to see if it was valid or not.
Oh, thank you.
And by the way, as a Jewish man, are you going to tell black people not to use the N-word?
Wait, what?
Are you going to tell black people not to use the N-word because it offends you?
What? It's a pretty fair comparison, and of course, he has no answer to it because he's been caught in another situation where he's creating standards for other people but doesn't like the logical extensions of that. But I want to move on to this right here where they're talking about Creator Clash 3, which is going to be a continued subject because iDubbbz, pretty much right as recording this video, released another video about H3, and apparently there's some parts about Creator Clash 3. I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow. But in this part of the debate, he basically says you helped ruin a charity event.
Listen to Hassan and you hear all these fucking...
Yes, you ruined a charity event. I hope you're proud.
So he's blaming Ethan for ruining a charity event, which, in case you don't know, with Creator Clash, an event run by iDubbbz, if they raise enough to cover the cost of the event, everything beyond that goes to charity. In the first one, they were able to give to charity. In the second Creator Clash, they didn't make enough money to even cover the expenses, therefore there was no money given to charity. And this year it's looking like an absolute disaster. There's pretty much no tickets sold. There's clearly not going to be enough to give away to charity. I think it's very obvious at this point. And now he's trying to hold that over Ethan's head. It's your fault. The charities are not going to make money. No, I'm sorry. It's iDubbbz's fault that there's not going to be money going to the charity because it's his event and he has blown it up. He has completely ruined it. He didn't promote it properly. He tried to go back in for a second time after the failure of Creator Clash 2. And he also made this content cop that made people want to support him even less. He has blown up his own event, and now we're blaming it on Ethan Klein because the content cop blew up in iDubbbz's face. I think that's completely ridiculous. And also, just because something has a charitable aspect to it doesn't mean everyone has to sit around and make sure it succeeds. Honestly, if you care so much about charity, screw Creator Clash, just give it directly to the charities and avoid all this rigmarole around this subject. But now I want to move to this right here. This is a very weird part of the debate where we see Hassan in a very blatant lie trying to say that Ethan Klein works with the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, which, by the way, making that assumption about a Jewish man that they must be a part of the ADL because they're Jewish, I think that's pretty anti-Semitic, but let's watch the clip.
Ed, and I'll quote a tweet that you made. Okay?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You said, I'll quote, he worked with the ADL to make Zionists a protected class on Twitch. Now, that is an outright lie.
I don't think it's an outright lie.
I worked with the
you took
ADL.
credit over it, didn't you?
Sorry. I worked with the ADL. What does that mean?
Yeah, as in like worked alongside. I don't think you're in the ADL.
Oh, that's what you meant when you said I worked with the ADL. I worked beside them, just incidentally together. You didn't mean that I worked with them privately to get people banned. Of course not.
No, I do think that.
Didn't you say you choose your words very carefully?
Alongside the ADL.
You just told me briefly ago. You choose your words very carefully, Hassan.
Not always. I'm famously.
Okay, we're walking that back. Sometimes I speak out the side of my mouth when I say you work with the ADL. So. Here you are again repeating the lie with Steiny on video. Go ahead. You had time
constantly come after me when his knows I'm not anti-Semitic and making these inferences that I am and like partnering with like the ADL and
whoops. Guess he didn't choose his words very carefully. Again, this is something that's like such a blatant lie, and he can't even own up to it. Like, just say, yeah, I said that. I can see why it would come off like I'm saying that Ethan directly worked with the ADL. It's just like a pointless, stupid lie that he made, and he just won't admit to it, which is not surprising in the slightest. But I want to share a little bit of this. This is just about halfway through where he just starts crashing out. Like, Hassan literally just loses his mind. Let's watch a little bit of this.
Didn't leave because we were Zionists. We left because we were no longer safe.
Okay.
Explain to me.
I can't wait to bring up obviously on the broadcast to make you fucking look like a dumbass.
I can't wait to. And now explain what he means by that. We did not leave Iraq because we were Zionists. We left because we were no longer safe.
Iraqis are not Palestinian. You fucking moron. You racist piece of shit.
What?
Because Iraq and the pan-Arabic nationalist movements that arise out of
you are out of your mind.
Is not about Palestinians.
Okay, so what did the Jews in Iraq have to do with fucking Israel? You bigot.
Actually fucking
you are so out of your mind.
And then Iraqis,
dude, you screaming and grandstanding doesn't mean you're right.
Iraqi government's racism during the pan-Arabic nationalist movements as a vindication for why, or a comparison as to why Israel had to do the Nakba.
Take a breath, bro. Like, whenever someone gets this mad, they're just shouting over the person they're debating. I think it's because they know they're in a corner and they're trying to fight their way out. This is a series of conversations they had about historical things, and it's like, again, like, wouldn't you think like Hassan would know a lot more than Ethan Klein? A lot of people have fact-checked this stuff, and it's just like outrageous claims, and he's yelling because he's being checked in real time and he doesn't like the results. But also there was a debate in there about clip sources, which I think is the dumbest thing ever, where Hasan Piker was saying that Ethan gets his clip sources from bad people, where there was bad titles. Like, one of them was titled, the clip that he was shared was titled Hamas Piker, right? And literally during the same debates, he shared a file that was Chris CPS. Now, for those who don't know, there was about a month ago a false call made to CPS on Ethan Klein and his children, and that was something he had to deal with because psychos in some of these communities decided to abuse and weaponize CPS to basically get one over on Ethan Klein. So he literally, again, set up the standard and then violated it himself in the same debate. Like, crazy stuff. Then there's this whole conversation about Destiny, which is a content creator that lives in the mind of Hasan Piker. He believes everything that happens to him is the work of Destiny. There's no connection whatsoever between Ethan and Destiny, despite Hassan believing that he wrote the content nuke that Ethan made on Hassan a few months ago. Let's just watch some of this.
I think you're doing that all on your own.
We'll see.
To be fair.
Yeah, we'll see. So do you want to tell me what is your evidence that I work with or talk to or have any association with at all with Destiny?
What? Destiny? What?
Oh, what? The guy that I talk about fucking obsessively 100 times a day? That is like basically like the Antichrist, the Lord Voldemort in my community? Yeah, you accuse me of working with him, knowing him, talking to him. What is your evidence for that?
Oh, thank you for asking.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Not only is there video footage of you corresponding with someone in your Discord that literally aligns perfectly with Destiny's own Discord, offering clips for you to pull.
That sounds like a stretch.
You've also used...
That's pretty much as good as it gets. I'll spare you some more time here. But yeah, his evidence is that there's a guy in the Discord server who also is in his Discord server. That's it. The connection has been formed. And also, if you want to know something funny, how rent-free all this is, the first thing that Hassan did after the debate was over was immediately tweet about Destiny. Completely and utterly rent-free. Like, it's actually insane. And by the way, I mean, like, I don't like Destiny. A lot of people don't like Destiny, but his obsession with him is pretty well documented at this point. But let's wrap it up here because there's only 2 more clips I want to show. This was at the end of the debate. I just want to share this one honestly because it's pretty funny.
And by the way,
you're not going to scare us. You're not going to.
I'll just say up front, we can end on that point.
Oh, I can keep going all day
sure
if you want to.
Yeah, I know. I know you go to bed tonight in a cool race car bed, but I have family.
Okay, no, that's fine. Why are you thinking about what my bedroom looks like? It's kind of weird, man.
Yeah. No.
Why did he take that as like a sexual comment? And that's very weird. Weird reaction, but he's right. Ethan goes home to his family, and Hassan, well, he goes home and stares at the ceiling and thinks about how he's no longer the top political streamer on Twitch, and then probably cries himself to sleep. But he had one more thing to say, wrapping up the debates when he was back on his own. He got rid of his mantle off of his shoulders here, and basically started going off saying that there's going to be a sea of brigaders as a result of this debate, and to be prepared for that.
Online. So in the upcoming days, you will see an endless sea of brigaders who are like, Ethan was so calm and kept his composure the entire time. TikTok will go crazy with clips going where people are like, what the fuck is this guy's problem about Ethan? Twitter most likely will also be going crazy with clips that are like, what the fuck is this guy's problem with respect to Ethan? But Reddit and Twitch and my Twitch chat will absolutely be brigaded to oblivion with people going, he was so intelligent. You got owned, little.
Okay, let me make this clear, by the way. I don't think necessarily that Ethan won the debate. It's more like Hasan Piker lost, right? It was like an unforced error. He just completely screwed himself over start to finish. And he should have won. Based on the type of people and their backgrounds, especially when it comes to politics, Hasan Piker should have destroyed him. But it didn't go his way. He got embarrassed. And it's not just a couple small spots that are supporting Ethan Klein. I think the overall landscape across all social media right now is that Hasan Piker blew this. And you can see evidenced by the actual debate uploaded on his own channel. I mean, this is pretty pathetic for a video on his own channel on a debate like this to not even get close to a 50% like-dislike ratio. This guy is literally a dislike factory at this point. Everything he touches gets dislike bombed into oblivion because people have had enough. They're repudiating him. They repudiate anything that has to do with him, and it's shown here once again. And of course, the orbiters were in full force, right? You have all of his favorites like Denim's TV saying Ethan demolished by Hassan. Holy moly. You have this one. Wake up, Ethan. That wasn't a debate. It was a massacre. This one saying Ethan x Hassan debate fiasco. And one more. Hassan debates Ethan Klein. And of course, that's one of his many orbiters. Ethan Klein surrenders every major point. So, you know, they're out there defending. That's not too surprising. But at the end of the day, this was a big mess, and they agreed to possibly do more in the future. I mean, at the end of the day, whether you think Hassan won or Ethan won, I think we all won. We're all winning by getting free content out of this because it's a spectacle to watch. But for now, that's going to do for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.